Hey everyone, and welcome to the Grow Hemp series. Today, we'll be attempting to make feminized seeds with two plants. So let's start at the beginning with just some coco coir and a little perlite. Coco coir is great because it can be bought in vacuum packed cubes for easy long-term storage, which can't be said about most other potting mix options. It's lightweight and doesn't really need any amendments added to it like perlite, although I'm using a little bit of perlite here because I just have some spare lying around. I'm also using an air pot planter, which has all the benefits of a fabric pot but in a solid form, and gets pretty messy to use, as the holes built into the walls of the air pot tend to allow the grow medium to spill out each time it's watered. Other than that, I'm using a feminized hemp seed for this grow, and I'll be converting this plant that you're seeing here into a hermaphrodite with the help of colloidal silver. I'm growing this plant in a 3x3 by 6 feet grow tent, and I'm using a larger grow tent for this grow because there's a second feminized seed being grown in here as well. That'll be the one that gets pollinated from this hermaphrodite plant. For the grow light, I'm using a large quantum board style full spectrum light. And these style of grow lights are some of the best grow lights I've used and highly recommend them for their efficiency and light intensity. I'm exhausting the air out with an inline fan. And I'm not using a carbon filter with this grow, as the grow tent is actually located in an outdoor enclosure that's not insulated. So controlling the smell isn't a big issue for this grow. Other than that, I just have a clip-on fan that's creating airflow throughout the tent. For the nutrients, because I'm growing with a soilless grow medium, I'm using hydroponic nutrients each time I water the plant, starting with a grow fertilizer in the vegetative stage, and then switching to a bloom fertilizer in the flowering stage. The lights are also staying on 18 hours a day, which will keep the plant in the vegetative stage. And I'll keep this light schedule until the plant is ready for the flowering stage, at which point I'll be switching the light schedule to 12 hours a day. I really don't need the plant to get much larger than this, since I'm just using it to produce pollen. So I'm starting to spray it with colloidal silver once a day. I'm also defoliating the plant, as well as low stress training it. And this makes it easier for me to spray down the entire plant with colloidal silver without the large fan leaves blocking the interior of the plant. The colloidal silver mix that I'm spraying it with is around 50 parts per million, and I'm spraying down the entire plant each time. I'm going to start this process for the last few days of the vegetative stage, and then I'm going to be switching to the flowering stage while continuing to spray every day. The pollen sacs are starting to form now, but I'm still spraying the plants each day until I see the first one of them open. the pollen sacs have started to open up now, so I've stopped spraying the plant with colloidal silver. But there's almost no visible pollen coming from the pollen sacs, although a little bit can be seen on top of the fan leaves below the pollen sacs. And in general, when producing pollen sacs from hermaphrodite plants, they're going to be producing significantly less pollen than that of male plants. I'm keeping the female plant that I want to pollinate right next to this plant. And now to make sure that the female plant gets pollinated, I'm gonna tap the pollen sacs right on top of the female plant. And we can start following the other plant's growth now. So since I knew I'd be experimenting with these grows, I wanted to try something that I'm now fully regretting, which is growing the second plant in a hydroponic deep water culture setup. Normally, this wouldn't be a problem at all, except like I said before, this grow tent is housed in an outdoor, uninsulated enclosure. And on top of that, I started to grow in the beginning of the summer months. This means that during the daytime, or when the lights are off in the grow tent, the temperature inside is getting to be around 90 plus degrees or so, which is still within an acceptable range for a normal potting mix grow, but for a hydroponic grow with no grow mediums, this is way too hot for the water reservoir, and it caused this plant to grow significantly slower to start. And that's clearly visible here, as I started both of these grows at the same time, and this one's like a fourth the height of the other plant. Still, I'm going to be pressing forward with this and hope that the plant can survive just a little longer. We're in the middle of the summer months now, and the heat is really getting to the plant, as the droopy leaves show that there just isn't enough oxygen getting to the plant, which is an issue that can arise if the water reservoir gets too hot. The roots are also starting to turn brownish as well now, so it's only a matter of time before the entire root system is engulfed with root rot. The thing is though, timeline-wise, we should be about a week away from being able to harvest the seeds. But given that the plant probably hasn't been able to take in any new nutrients with the root rot, I don't know how the seeds are actually developing. Although a quick check does give me some hope. So I just left it to grow as long as possible until the plant completely died out, in the hopes that the seeds can develop just a slight bit more. Well, it's completely dead. So, I guess it's time to take a look at how it did. Here, I'm removing the plant to harvest the seeds, and you can see that the entire root system is just brown and slimy. This is my first attempt, and most likely last attempt, at trying to grow hydroponics in a hot environment. And it was definitely an interesting experience to see what root rot does and just how quickly it can destroy a plant. I'll also be posting another grow log in the future, focusing on just this plant. And in that grow log, I'll go into a lot more details on the entire life cycle of this plant. But for now, let's just take a look at how the seeds turned out. I'm crumbling the entire plant so that I can get easy access to the seeds. And unfortunately, most of the seeds look underdeveloped, although there are a few promising ones in the mix. You can tell which ones are underdeveloped as they're either smaller in size or lighter in color. Although I have been successful in germinating some of the lighter color seeds. I did spot a few really well developed seeds in the mix though, so thankfully this wasn't a total dumpster fire. And I'll be showcasing the grows from these seeds in a future grow log as well. And that's it. Like the content? Then be sure to check out our beginner's guide to creating CBD products from scratch, available at Amazon in print and digital, with links in the description below. You can also find us at hempinapot.com.